What if? But I could just state the purpose is we want the public to have an up and down vote of whether or not they can participate and whether or not this bill becomes law, simply because they eliminated that possibility because they hid this agenda in the last election.
The speaker says it's just another, it's a stall tactic after you realize you weren't going to get enough support amongst Republicans for the referendum bill. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think he's totally and completely wrong, and I believe he knows it. I mean, he's the one that I believe sought this and used it. I'm going to say this: he used it. He let it be known to his members, many of whom were, from the sources I have, not only leaning, but going to vote for this. But when you tell somebody that it's unconstitutional, that's a pretty good argument not to vote for it. I know members over there think that the public should have an opportunity. And this just threw a bomb into the middle of the proceedings. You got to remember also, they had an amendment or a bill drawn up with the same prescription, if you will. And I believe they felt that was, at that time, a potential bill pending. And my belief is that once that was exposed, they went and looked for the constitutionality. And by the way, during all that discussion, he never brought up his doubts on the constitutionality of that, which would have saved us all a lot of time, by the way.
So is the effort at this point to recraft that bill or to draft a legal argument that would persuade
recraft the
If the issue is that the Constitution doesn't seem to allow a vote of the people to immediately put a law into effect, why aren't you just drafting it to say that that whatever is the will of the people, the legislature will come back the following year and pass the law implementing?
Because the argument they use then is that we're delaying everything.
So what is physically being done for this amendment to be ready and constitutionally ready as we speak?
We're taking every possibility. I mean, one of the possibilities is going county by county. I mean, that seems to be, and another one that somebody suggested, make it a constitutional amendment, try to get a constitutional amendment, which I think is a pretty good idea because it takes a couple of years and an election in between. But also we have to have some kind of, we hope to have some kind of possibility of success. So that's why those are the different kinds of things we're looking at, but not limited to.
So your caucuses right now are meeting with lawyers and
Yes.
doing research?
You said you want the public to have an up or down vote. I'm a little confused because a few days ago you seemed to indicate that you want the House to have a vote on an amendment that would provide some sort of referendum. Sure. So say that you come up with a constitutional version and then it's voted down because it sounds like the speaker has the votes. Then what do you all do? Are you saying the public has to have a vote?
No, it doesn't. You know, we would hope that it passes, but at least they won't use the excuse that it was unconstitutional. At least it's very clear there's a substantial difference between our two caucuses. They don't want the public involved. They tried to exclude them opening day from even being in the building. They tried to exclude them from a public hearing where they could testify or a public hearing where they could amend. And then now they're of course trying to rush this to judgment because they don't want it to be part of the next election issue. So let's at least see if that's true every which way, because they don't even want them to have a voice in a referendum.
What's the possibility of, I guess, constructing a referendum for specific local governments instead of a statewide one, since that
Well,
is...
that's one of the things you have to look at, but it's not preferable, but something that's possible.
What else? Constitutional, county by county, constitutional amendment, county by county.
Well, there's been other, there was once one constructed and considered legal that 2 out of 4 counties can pass a tax and it affects all 4. So there's another example. I mean, there's been so many variations, you have to check them all out. But meanwhile, we'll continue to do the people's business. It isn't an issue that is a right to work for less without some kind of redress by the people. Thank you all for being here.